Hi, good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to be working on lesson 125. So, open your student book to lesson 125. Please go ahead and follow along and pay close attention to the questions and words that we're going to go over today. Now, let's go ahead and touch the first word in part 1. Now, that name is Rockington. Everybody, what name? Rockington. Good. Touch the next word. That word is funambulist. Everybody, what word? Funambulist. Good. Next word. What word? Frightened. Next word. Gorge. Next word. What word? Endurance. Next word. What word? Daring. Next word. What word? Blondin. Next word. What word? Suede. Next word. What word? Niagara. Next word. What word? Bowed. Next word. What word? Impressed. Next word. What word? Canadian. Next word. What word? Feet. Next word. What word? Balance. Next word. What word? Fad. Next word. What word? Cruise. Next word. What word? Stroll. Next word. What word? Incredible. Next word. What word? Agent. Now, that was our word attack. Let's go ahead and look at part 2. We're going to talk about what those words mean. Word number 1. What word? Casually. When you do something casually, you don't pay much attention to what you're doing. If you don't pay much attention to what you're saying, you speak casually. Everybody, if you walk without paying much attention to what you're doing, how are you walking? Get ready. Casually. Look at word number 2. What word? Secured. When you have secured something, you have put it firmly in place. Everybody, what's another way of saying he put the rope firmly in place? Get ready. He secured the rope. Now we're going to begin with our story in part 3. Go ahead and pay close attention to the title and to our reading. Listen carefully to the questions that we're going to be answering because these questions may appear on your workbook. So let's go ahead and begin. Famous funambulists. Nearly everybody who lived in the year 1885 knew what a funambulist was. Although the word is not used much today, it stood for feats of great daring to the people of the late 1800s. A funambulist is a tightrope walker. Tightrope walking became quite a fad after Charles Blondin performed his incredible walk 160 feet above Niagara Falls. The rope was 3 inches in diameter and was 1,100 feet in length. So listen to the first question. What is a funambulist? Get ready. A funambulist is a tightrope walker. You have the answer right here. A funambulist is a tightrope walker. Now, who started the fad of tightrope walking? Charles Blondin began tightrope walking. Now, where did he perform his first incredible walk? Charles Blondin performed his first incredible walk 160 feet above the Niagara Falls. So it was above the Niagara Falls. Let's continue reading. Pay close attention. The crews experienced great difficulty in securing the rope, and Blondin's agent wasn't satisfied that the rope was adequately secured for his scheduled walk on July 30, 1885. Blondin, a famous French funambulist, was apparently not worried. He tested the rope, which swayed more than 29 feet from side to side in the middle of the span, and indicated that the crowd of people that gathered for the event would not be disappointed. With the wind blowing and the silent crowds on both sides of the river, Blondin walked across as casually as one would stroll on a sidewalk. He stopped in the middle, put down the long pole that he carried for balance and bowed to the crowd. Then he continued. What impressed people more than anything else was how easy Blondin made the walk look. Others attempted the same feat. According to one story, a man who had never walked a tightrope before in his life made a bet that he could walk across Blondin's rope, and he did. According to the report, he walked from the United States side to the Canadian side of the river at night. Blondin, however, was not to be outdone. 5 years later, he crossed above Niagara Falls with his agent on his back. His agent had never been on a tightrope in his life and was so frightened that he became quite sick after the walk had been completed. Let's listen to question number 2. Why did Blondin's agent get sick after Blondin carried him across Niagara Falls on a tightrope? So let's go back. His agent had never been on a tightrope in his life and was so afraid that he became quite sick after the walk had been completed. So yes, Blondin's agent became sick after the walk had been completed because he had never been on a tightrope in his life. Now let's continue. The longest tightrope walk was recorded in France in 1969. To cross from one side of a gorge to the other, the funambulist Rockington walked 3,790 yards, more than 2 miles. The walk took almost 4 hours. The endurance record for being on a tightrope is 205 days, set by George Ojeda Guzman of Orlando, Florida. The previous endurance record for being on a tightrope was 185 days and was set by Rockington. Doctors were puzzled by his ability to sleep while balanced on the wire. During the 185 days, he walked to stay in condition. In all, he walked about 310 miles. Food was brought to him regularly, but he never left the wire. Let's listen to question number 3. What was Rockington's endurance record for being on a tightrope? So, the record for being on a tightrope for Rockington was 185 days. Now, what puzzled doctors while Rockington was setting this record? So what puzzled doctors while setting this record was his ability to sleep while being balanced on the wire. So the doctors were puzzled by his ability to sleep while balanced on the wire. Now, one of the strangest tightrope exhibitions occurred in New York City in 1974. A French funambulist walked a wire between the twin towers of the World Trade Center. When he crossed between the towers, he set the record for the highest crossing, 1,350 feet above the street, about 100 stories. He was charged with trespassing. Now you're going to see the workbook and make sure you complete it all. We have a total of 10 questions in the first part. Then you have part 2 with 3 questions and 5 questions in part 3. Try your best, boys and girls. After this, you're going to take your mastery test, which is mastery test number 4. This is your last test at the end of this program. Please try your very, very best while you're taking this test and completing this assignment. Have a great day, boys and girls.